Okay, so we are live now. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Um, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I welcome you all to the webinar of the UET Peshawar. The title of today's webinar is Developing Soft Skills and Language Skills for a Successful Engineering Career. And today we have invited Dr. Alia Amir for our webinar as presenter. Dr. Alia Amir is a senior lecturer in, actually assistant professor in English Linguistics. She is affiliated with Linköping University. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, which is in Sweden. She is the author of Doing Language Policy, in which she writes about policy mechanisms and micro-level policy in action. Okay. Her main research approach is multimodal conversation analysis, and her research deals primarily with classroom discourse, English classroom interaction, and language teacher education. Her research and teaching interests lie at the intersections of English linguistics, social interaction, and language policy. Her academic journey began in 2008 with her MA thesis at Linköping University entitled Chronicles of the English Language in Pakistan, a discourse analysis of milestones in the language policy of Pakistan, in which she compared and traced discourses about the prestige of English language and how English language policy discourses othered other languages in three policies in Pakistan's history, namely Lord Macaulay's Minute on Indian Education, 1835, the Constitution of Pakistan, 1973, and Educational Policy, 2008. For her PhD project, she collected data by video filming English classes in Sweden at the compulsory school level to study policy practices. She discovered a prototypical three-step sequence of language policing, as well as different ways of how language policing looks in interaction. Before I ask her to start her presentation, actually I wanted our director, Professor Dr. Saeed Gul Saab, but at the moment he hasn't joined yet. I think Dr. Imran Ahmed is here. Uh, Dr. Imran Saab, are you listening? Okay, I thought Dr. Imran is here, but okay, he's here. He said yes. Dr. Imran Saab, would it be possible for you to say a few words? Okay, his mic is not working.
Wait, let me just check. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. I'm Dr. Imran Ahmed from UT Peshawar, and thank you so much for arranging this seminar. And I'm really grateful from the speaker, Madam Alia Amir, and I think it would be a great workshop. We're looking forward to have a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Imran. Okay, so before taking much time, I would invite Dr. Ali Amir to please start her presentation on developing soft skills and language skills for a successful engineering career. Please.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And thank you very much for joining us today and welcome to this session. I'm really pleased and honored to be here, and I'm thankful to the Career Development Center at UET Peshawar, and especially Dr. Merwat for this invitation. The main goal of this presentation is to provide both undergraduate and graduate engineering students as well as teachers to get knowledge about the key skills and practical tips for their professional development. You will learn how to build and develop a toolkit that will allow you to perform efficiently in your professional communication skills. And as you have been informed that this is the topic of my presentation, it seems like there's a slight problem with the screen. Can you see the screen now? Do you see my screen? Because I'm going to move on to the next slide.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's dive right in to the topic.
Actually, we can only see the first screen, so the first slide.
Okay.
So maybe don't go to the full screen and just keep the presentation running.
Which option should I use? Entire screen, window?
Yes, a window.
A window, okay.
And then just the PowerPoint file, yes.
Okay, do you now see it as a full screen?
Not the full screen, but the elephant is visible.
Okay, and now?
No, not in the full screen, but it's okay. It is clearly
Yeah,
visible.
but what do you see now?
The elephant.
Okay, but then how will I move this? Because this seems like it won't move the PowerPoint. How do you do this in Google?
Sorry, it's possible if she can email you the presentation and you can control the slide and she will just let you know when to move forward or backward, if that is possible.
Yes, that should be also possible. Why not?
Okay, but what do you see now? Do you see the whole
Okay,
elephant?
now nothing is being shared. I think another option is share the entire screen, and whatever you see, that will be visible to us. The entire
Yes,
screen.
that is exactly what I'm doing actually. But I'll do it again.
Okay, please.
Okay. It's not that the slide is not, but it's the problem is that when I move from one slide to another, it's not visible to you, right?
Can you change slides just to see?
Yeah, I have changed the slides. So this means it's not working actually. So I'll stop sharing this and I will stop sharing my video camera. And I'm just going to email you.
Yes, sure.
Okay. And it will take a minute. But while I'm doing this, I'll try to keep speaking. I'm aware that engineering profession is not a monolithic entity. So there are many different types of engineers. And which means that each different kind of an engineer works with different things. Which means that the picture that I was actually showing you of the elephant is like of engineers who are trying to feel like a blind man. There is a story about an elephant that several blind men were actually trying to feel an elephant on different parts of its body. But when they were asked to describe it, they told different things because they were feeling different things. And that, I guess, is the story of engineers as well. Dr. Mervat, I have sent you the PowerPoint. Have you received it?
Yes, received it. I will open it shortly. And I'll share it.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to know from the audience if they can see the presentation now. Okay, I think then we can move on.
Yes, we can start, please. So with different types of engineers doing different kind of tasks, there are still skills which are required by all sorts of engineers. And that brings me to the next slide. In an engineering profession, you will need some core soft skills, and you will need some other kind of skills, which are hard skills specific for your own professions. For example, if you are no, please, you are going too fast.
Sorry.
So for the hard skills, it means that each kind of profession needs specific kind of skills. For instance, if you are a software developer, you will need to learn how different kinds of softwares work. If you are a linguist, a computational linguist, then you will need to use different kind of softwares to analyze things. Soft skills are skills which are useful for all different kinds of professions. They are a set of skills, non-technical skills for understanding understandings for different kinds of things which require interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills, collaboration, self-management, time management. And the third set of skills are English language skills, which I have separated from the soft skills, even though they will also be included in it. But because English language is a language which is used in at the university level, in professional life, in Pakistan, and as well as in other parts of the world as well. So I've separated them and to put a more emphasis on them. Yes, now we can move on to the next slide, please. In an engineering career, people work in different kinds of places. In industry, where actual application of theoretical knowledge is required. And in research, which is carried out at the universities or other research organizations like governmental sectors or other organizations which require research of some sort. Industry also is a place where people do research. And then business and startups as well, where project management and certain other kinds of skills can be used. Now, our focus of this talk is on soft skills. You can move on to the next slide, please. Now, these soft skills are common skills for all professions. As I said, they are also, the wordings are also used, core skills, and they're used for employability. And as you can see that in Dari, Arabic, and Pashto, there are different terminologies to understand what exactly we mean when we say soft skills. Soft skills are important because that tell the employer whether you are doing a PhD in the future or going to work in an industry, what kind of skills that you have developed over a period of time. These skills develop even from childhood to teenage to adulthood. So being engaged in different kinds of activities develops these kind of skills. Leadership skills are one of the important skills which require a person to lead a group of people and guide them from a position A to B, from one point to another point. A leader's main responsibility is to communicate the goals and vision of the group, whether it's research-based or industry or a university. A leader facilitates and builds consensus among the group. Yes, you can move on to the next one. And critical thinking is a set of skills as well, which one develops over a period of time by understanding different texts, for instance, manuals or spoken language, and analyzes those things, whether verbally or in written form, and makes an informed decision about it. So critical thinking is a very resourceful skill to have. Interpersonal skills means that a person has personality traits like listening well, showing positive attitude to others, And being a good team member in either a workplace or as a student in the university or in other scenarios as well. So it's a very valuable skill as well. Teamwork also goes hand in hand with interpersonal skills, which means that a person should be flexible enough to engage in different kinds of work with other team members and be polite and be able to take decisions or take different moves based on what the group or the team requires. Initiative and innovation means that a person is able to bring new ideas to the group and is able to be creative in providing solutions to different kinds of aspects. And this is also a very valuable skill for different kind of engineers as well as in other professional lives, careers as well. Planning and organizing are also key skills. So you know where you are going and how you would do things according to what you have imagined as your goal. So going from your current situation to the next level, whether it's developing your language skills, written language skills, or spoken language skills, or some software that you are focusing on. So it is a bigger picture of your situation and being able to organize different kind of activities for yourself to make you a better professional in your career in the future. Work ethics are also a very important skills to have to understand what kind of values an organization or a university has and have the internal drive to self-respect the rules and regulations, not only about the work environment, but also ethically understanding what is correct and what is not correct, whether it's dealing with equipment or procedures. And so it includes many aspects of it. And work ethics also is required internally by a person, because agreeing to, for instance, do certain things means that you are obeying some deadlines or agreeing to some deadlines that you will deliver things in a certain period of time. The next soft skill is problem solving, which means that you, as a person, understand what kind of a problem or a conflict or an issue is there and are able to creatively think and involve different skills that you have developed to find a solution to a problem. The next one is flexibility and adaptability, which means that you are flexible and adaptable and open to new environments, etc. Digital literacy means that you understand that we are living in a digital age, and in this digital age, we require certain skills. For instance, understanding how the digital world works, internet works, and different equipment, long distance work, etc. So acquiring that skill means that you become a digital literate person. Okay, so soft skills have ended. I saw somebody actually rose a hand. I'm not sure if it is for a question or it was something else. But what do you see on this slide? If you can comment in the chat box, I'll know that you are not sleeping. Okay, so you see kahwa. So this slide is kind of a question to understand how one can develop soft skills. You saw a range of soft skills that I had in other slides. So let's say that your grandmother is an expert of making a certain kind of a kahwa, and you want to learn that. No, it's not coffee. So you want to learn that special recipe from making for decades, and she has learned it from her grandmother, and her grandmother learned it from her grandmother. One way would be to watch her do it. One way would be to ask her to tell you the recipe, and you write down the recipe and make it on your own. Another way could be to work with her like an apprentice and learn it repeatedly. Let's say you do it every weekend with her. So you find the tips and tricks of the family secret recipe. And in doing so, you're learning several skills. You are solving a problem. You are working in a team. You are listening to her, and she is listening to you. You are having a conversation by this kind of an activity. This means that people learn in group work. People learn in communities, different skills outside classrooms as well. And this is an established area of research, learning sciences, which tell us that people of different abilities and skills, when they come together, we learn when they actually do things together in different ways. So whether you get to learn your grandma's secret recipe or not in a few weeks, that is a question I'll leave to you. We can go to the next slide. And also, maybe you'll want to work someday at Jersey Tikka shop to get his skills of cooking and maintaining the secret of that recipe as well. And maybe you can indulge in eating different kind of food that he serves as well. Now, after soft skills, I mentioned that English language skills is what we will focus on. And there are many overlapping skills because language skills are also soft skills. Communication is part of soft skills. But I've put a few things under English language skills, which again is critical thinking, digital literacy, numeracy, reading and writing, and communication skills. But we will focus only on spoken and written English language skills. When it comes to English language or any language, there are many different ways to measure, like you measure different physical objects. Language skills can also be measured through different tests. For instance, this one that I have on the screen, you can see that it is from the Common European Framework of Reference, CFR, which describes what learners can do across 5 language skills: spoken interaction, spoken production, listening, reading, and writing. In the next slide, you will see self-assessment grid. I have left a reference to that as well, and you can Google it and find it too. You can use this to measure your own language capabilities. It's like measuring or self-reflecting on the different aspects of your language. And it contains almost 34 or 36, I think, different descriptors which are used. Now, when you know where your current capability is in different language skills, then you can also go on and further develop your specific kind of English. English for specific purposes is used for this, and technical English comes basically in this category. There are different kinds of ESP, or English for specific purposes. For instance, business English, aviation English, or even English for waiters, English for different professions, basically. So different vocabulary that is required because you need that in your everyday profession. In the next slide, you will see two different aspects which we are going to talk about, which is written communication and spoken or oral communication. So let's begin with spoken English. What would you require spoken English in the future or currently for your presentations, class presentations, maybe for job interviews, or for customer service if you're working part-time somewhere, or in the future for studying or working abroad, or maybe for working online as a consultant somewhere as well. Presentations, whether you use a PowerPoint or just give a presentation without a PowerPoint, you first must understand what's the difference between the oral presentation and the written language. Once the aims of the genre that you're using are clear in your mind, you can work on perfecting them and making excellent presentations, which require that you understand how you would structure them, what would be the design, and how much time would you use, and what would be the content, and what would be the delivery mode. You can move on to the next one, please. Yeah, and next one, because I've already used this. Okay, so when you are creating your presentations, whether it's for your class or for your job interview or for your PhD or your for master's, you have to remember who your audience is, and you must understand the purpose and value of powerful presentations. You must understand what is the current knowledge about the topic of your audience, and who are you, and what is your relationship with the audience. In a professional setting, how and why are you delivering that presentation? What is the message of that presentation? Once you have the answers to all these questions for yourself, you can create a text. You can move on to the next one, please. Okay, so you can move on to creating the text out of your notes. So let's say you have a content, you have organized and structured it well, and then you proofread it, and then you make a PowerPoint, and 6 words per sentence or 6 lines per slide is a rule of the thumb for PowerPoints. So not to clutter a PowerPoint slide with lots of text, and be synchronized ideally when the PowerPoint slide is there and you speak it. And you can practice your correct pronunciation before you present so that you do not encounter words which you haven't spoken before, or there are problematic words which you find hard to pronounce. So if you've practiced well, then you can work well on it. And these are just average rules of how you can divide your time between different slides. Okay, so when it comes to practicing and delivering, language is the key and words matter. So practice correct pronunciation. And when delivering the presentation, be audible, speak loudly, and audible enough for your audience. You can use variation, intonation, stress, and rhythm. Be energized so that your audience understands how you have put in energy and time to deliver a topic. Okay. And how to improve spoken language, a language, whether it's your first language or a foreign language, how would you work on it? You can practice pronunciation of some syllables or words, and you can find out how vowels and consonants are pronounced so that you know how, if you're pronouncing them correctly. You can listen to a wide range of the content in target language through YouTube or other applications that have video and audio content, and try to see if you are pronouncing something incorrectly or not. Okay, now going back to technical English for engineers, which, and now I actually mean writing, but also spoken language. There are some things which one can focus on, for instance, adjectives, verbs, certain kind of verbs, phrases, adverbs for emphasis, countable and uncountable nouns. So first of all, beginning to know what these are and how they are used in essays or articles or texts that you are reading will help you work on your thesis if you are writing that in the future. And also, you would need a wide range of words to describe different kind of movements, different kind of advantages for certain things, a list of abbreviations that you should know, and how to write cause and effect and consequences in English, and which verbs work for that in a good manner, words to describe different kinds of equipment and tools, and also vocabulary to explain different dimensions and directions. You would also need to equip yourself with language to describe health and safety requirements, processes, and shapes as well. So let's have a look at this slide, in which you see that you in technical English you also need vocabulary and a certain kind of grammatical structures and sentences and English syntax to describe and categorize different kind of materials, for components, shapes, and features, as well as positions of assembled components, and different kinds of phrases and prepositions for positions and verbs as well. So let's say if you were going to describe cloud computing, how would you do that? In a different texts, like you practice in different ways to describe this. What does an operating system do? What do you know about GPS devices and describe their functions? So these are just examples of how you can practice writing focused on your own topic. Okay, so it goes on that technical English is also useful when you are using and describing certain technical functions and applications, and verbs to describe movements, because a certain kind of vocabulary will be useful there. Next on my slide is academic writing, or English for academic purposes, which you will find in universities and scholarly publications like journals, articles, and books, dissertations, essays, research papers, lab reports, etc. Academic writing is something you should be equipped with after high school, or develop it after high school when you enter the university, so that when you encounter course syllabus, which is written in a certain way, you are able to understand it and also be able to paraphrase and describe it in your own words for answers, for exams, etc. And it is different from everyday language, and it is a specific kind of a genre and has a different kind of structure from, let's say, creative writing, or from poetry, for instance, or from stories, because this is used in a specific purpose. When writing in academic English, you need to be clear about what your objective is. You should be precise in your text, so it should have precision, a certain kind of a structure. You should have introduction, the body of the text, and conclusions. And you need to have some knowledge of English grammar, advanced English grammar, and vocabulary. When writing something, you can brainstorm ideas, do some research, read, plan, and create the structure, and revise and edit the text. Good news is that all skills, including pronunciation, spoken English, or written English, They are all achievable. So nobody is born with all the different kind of skills, whether it's written language or spoken language. You can move on to the next slide, please. So everyone has different skills when you, let's say, start a course or start a semester. But if you keep on working on certain skills, your beaker, so to say, will rise up, and you can learn different things in different kinds of interactions. And some last tips on the next slide are for how to improve your technical English, academic English. You can keep different kinds of journals, whether you can keep them online, like a document in Google Drive, or on paper in a diary. And you can target certain amount of words for every day or for every week. For writing specific kind of texts, you can target new vocabulary and use that, and read scientific articles. So the main key points are that hard skills are essential for a specific career, like different kinds of learning about different kinds of softwares, different kinds of theories, and different kinds of skills specific for one profession. But soft skills are essential for all professions. And the good news is that skills are learnable. And you can, with practice, improve on them. And doing things and experiencing from different situations is also transferable. So things that you learn outside your classroom are also transferable as soft skills. And planning and investing time to develop skills is essential for professional development. To sum up, planning and learning new things and practicing is the key goal of any career. And you have to keep on learning new things and practicing them to excel in them. And on the next slide, you have some useful resources which you can use to practice writing as well as practice spoken English. And at the end of the slide, so the PowerPoint is some references that I used to prepare this. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. This was a very insightful, a very informative and useful presentation for our graduates and students. I would now like to ask the audience if they have got any questions. Please raise. If you have got any questions, please raise your hands, and we will allow you to ask questions. Please. Okay, maybe I ask the the first question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, the question is actually English sentence structure and the grammatic, all the rules and all the verbs, tenses, and subject, object, verb, all these things we need to learn at school. But once we get a student at engineering university and we find out that some of the basics are missing, the language skills are missing, as a university teacher, how can we try to solve these issues?
So my question actually will be, can you give me some examples of what kind of skills do you find absent in students?
For example, basic presentation skills, sometimes some students, they cannot differentiate between talking to audience, giving a presentation, a technical presentation, or talking at home with friends and relatives. So this is one thing, and grammar is the other thing. If there is some problem, for example, the sentence structure of a student is not good enough, and the student cannot deliver technical presentation in a nice way. So how can we help that student then?
I think there are several different ways to guide the students towards certain objectives. It also depends on what course you are teaching. As for instance, if it's a very technical course pertaining to certain aspects of science, or is it a course about language or presentations, then you can focus on that as well. One way is also to put all this information in the study plan or your lesson plan, which you can share with the students prior to starting a course. So letting them know what your expectations are from them, but also knowing, like in the introduction, knowing their expectations from the course. So one way could also be to have some sort of a diagnostic test and do a survey. It will take only 5 or 10 minutes. You can use, for instance, Google Form, or you can have it in class if you're going back on campus. So knowing what students are expecting and where they are, you can build and create interactive seminars where you can model certain kind of techniques. Maybe you can start by having professional development course for teachers first, so that they also all are aware of what kind of skills you would want in your teachers, which they can model and show, and which the students can learn. If you have certain techniques or certain guidelines about presentation prior to a presentation, informing them fully what is the goal and what, if they will get some points, or if they will get a grade, or if it is if you will give them feedback. So this is one way to have a better presentation along the course of the course in a term. And your second question was about grammar, right? If after high school they have learned advanced level grammar of English, because English is a compulsory subject, but everyone will be at a different stage and at a different level. So maybe having some sort of course where they can polish their English, or maybe engaging in certain kind of activities where they can speak more or write more, can push them to work on grammar, whether it's explicit grammar teaching or implicit grammar teaching, but maybe some sort of workshops or mandatory parts of a course can be made in a way, not focusing on grammar, but specific kind of grammar, which is useful for a particular kind of engineering.
Okay, thank you. There is a very good question by Muhammad Asim, and he is asking, is this the only session that we are going to have, or will we have some other sessions as well?
My question is this the only question, or nobody has any questions? Maybe you can write, or because I am...
Okay. Yes, Tayyip, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Ma'am, your presentation was really informative for us, but the question that I want to ask is that if somebody is lacking the capability to work inside a team, so how can we develop this capability or this ability?
If one person is not
lacking the capability to work inside a team now, so how can we develop this one?
Maybe asking about teamwork skills.
Yes.
Teamwork. So basically, if you think about it, outside the classroom as well, or outside a university as well, we're always in some sort of a team. A family is a team. We do different things. A group of friends is also a team who do different things, whether they just go and roam around the city or do some studying or reading together. It is a teamwork. I think ethics comes in it, and responsibility as an adult, thinking about what are your rights and what are your duties. If you're put together, for instance, in a group at the university level, then recognizing that you have to put in enough effort, and that you have agreements in a group, and that everyone's voice is heard. So a certain kind of agreements prior to starting a group, if it is at the university level, would help becoming a good team member and making a good team as well. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So do you have a lot of group work, Dr. Mawat, in your classes or?
Yeah, yes, actually, in the first few semesters, we give projects which are mostly individual, but then later on we give group tasks. Sorry. And in the final year, we have got a final year project in which there is a group of 3 or 4 students and they have to work under a supervisor. And then in that team, they have to present their work twice in every semester. And the presentations are, then they have to prepare for the presentation. That is why they are asking. Sometimes there are issues between group members. So it is usually not easy to gel them together. So that's why he was asking how to develop teamwork skills. I think that was the issue which he was facing.
Well, if you look at like cutting edge research findings from learning sciences about group work, for instance, then it shows that empirical research has shown that group work is very beneficial if team members agree on in the beginning and listen to each other's voice and ideas, and then start a project or whatever it is and take the responsibility. Then it is just like this kava making example that I showed you, that you actually transfer skills even in a group, even if you are of same age, because one of you might have a better skill in one thing. Maybe it is diplomacy, and maybe another person is a good problem solver, or another one has more creative brain. So if you keep on working in a group over a repeated period of time, then actually you are already learning in that negotiation and talking to each other about how to, let's say, solve a project, which you mentioned that they do quite a few times in a year. So I would say that maybe more guidelines about the assignment and how the group works could actually push people to take more responsibility. Because this is like a microcosm of what they would be doing after the university or their student life as well. Because in a professional life, you are already in different kinds of teams, whether you work at a university or in an industry. So there is no running away from group work in real life, actually.
Okay, there is a question from Tayyaba Saeed, ma'am, how to develop a problem-solving skill. I think this is what she wants to ask.
Yeah, a problem-solving skill you can acquire from putting yourself in different kinds of activities. So let's say you volunteer for an orphanage, for instance, and you're working in there where there is some sort of an issue which you're asked to solve. Or let's say you volunteer in a charity where you ask to fundraise something. And the problem is fundraising, and you create different kinds of solutions for fundraising. So if you put yourself in different kinds of experiences, whether it's volunteer work, or if you are, even if you are trying different kinds of activities, then you will learn those kind of problem skills.
I think again the same issue.
Okay, yes, I think it is an important maybe teamwork skill is that you are only responsible for your own conduct in a team, and there, if the team is not gelling together, or if there is a student who is not working in a group, then you are again learning problem solving. Like there's a problem in the group. How do you communicate respectfully to that person to work? And ethics, here you are learning ethics as well, that you take responsibility, moral responsibility, that you have been asked to do a task where everybody has to put in effort, equal amount of effort if that is what the requirement is. But also, actually, this is something teachers can also do, to create assignments or group works in a way that when you create a group, for instance, of 4 people, you assign different techniques. There is one technique which is called cows, for instance, or you tell them about democracy, like everyone has equal rights to express themselves, but you have to respect and listen to the other person, and you have to be respectfully communicating in a group. So I think in assignment descriptions, one can explain how each one has to take the responsibility and also assess what kind of conflicts arise in those, and create a different kind of structure. Because research, again, has also shown that whatever kind of structure you make, groups, or if you put 2 people together, maybe if you make 2 people groups only and see if that works or not, maybe in a bigger group, one becomes passive. Maybe that is the issue. And give points. In one of my exercises where I give students presentations to do, I've also given them an extra assignment to do, a short assignment, where they describe in simple sentences what was their role in the project. So some sort of accountability from the teachers and more clearer instructions. There is a need for, yes. And that is also, as I would say that you saw the kahwa thing. So even if you have the recipe, practicing it, creating it, and maybe creating a group of people, finding a mentor in your community who can read your cover letter, who can look at your essays and give you feedback is also important. So community is again a team where you can find maybe at your university, maybe your class fellows. So I think specific kind of writing, you need to keep on practicing it, but also get feedback from some other people. And somebody said team working. Yeah, teamwork would need some sort of a workshop actually, where one could do different things and then reflect and be able to express how they felt, because it is also important to understand why people are not working together, or maybe they haven't really understood the task or taken the responsibility. Yeah. So I would just sum up that we all actually have a lot of skills, soft skills, core skills, which we learn from so many different contexts. Same is true for English language. We already have our first language, which we already have learned, whether it's written, like maybe if somebody speaks Urdu, Dari or Pashto, or maybe other languages. So you already have one language and you're already exposed to English in so many different contexts, even in Pakistan. Your textbooks are in English, so you have been exposed to it. So building on it is quite easy, but assessing yourself where you are and then improving certain things. Like if you think you need to know more about verbs, or you need to know about prepositions you need to master, or you need to master how to write, as you said, a cover letter. So all those things are essential for it. IELTS is also a specific kind of test. Like I showed you the CEFR, the European grid for language assessing. For IELTS as well, you will have to prepare from scratch. First of all, practice grammar and listening and speaking. So different aspects you have to develop in a certain period of time. So you can also ask people who have already done IELTS how they did it, and focus on that as well. But I think for certain countries, actually, you don't even probably need IELTS. Like I think Germany, Dr. Nawaz, I think you don't need IELTS in Germany or Italy,
No,
for instance.
actually, it is required.
It is required. Okay, I see. Not German language.
No, because most of our students they take admission in international programs which are English language based.
In
So
English language.
there
Okay.
are some other programs in German language, but our students mostly prefer the international programs.
Yes. But it's at some universities they actually ask if you have taken education in English, then you don't actually need like at the up till the university level.
Yes, there are some
Then
universities, but the embassy requirement is that you have to
okay,
have IELTS or TOEFL result with you.
okay, I see, I see. Then yes, then you need to, I think, prepare well in advance for a couple of months to build the different skills in IELTS.
Yep. There is another suggestion by Tayyab that it would be great to have a session on teamwork. So I
Yes, teamwork is very, I think. So how big are your groups actually, like class sections?
okay. In most of the departments in one section there are 30, 35, up to 40 students in one section, and but the groups which are created for final year project, these groups have two, three, or sometimes four. Mostly we prefer three, but sometimes there are four students in one group.
And that's fifth year of their engineering.
That is the no, fourth year. The final year is fourth year in engineering.
Fourth year is
Fourth
final.
year,
Okay.
yes.
But do you find more problems? I'm asking to all of you, students as well. Like, do you find teamwork problems initially in the first year or towards the last year, the fourth year?
From beginning, ma'am.
From beginning, yes. So the thing about the first term is that students are new to the university as compared to how it is in high schools or college. So maybe some sort of orientation and expectations and discussions prior to beginning a course could actually explain why teamwork is used. Maybe some research to motivate students that it brings benefit to the students themselves.
Yes, actually, the problem that I usually see is that in one group there are some students who are good in mathematics and technically they are strong, and there is another one who may not be that good in mathematics, but he's a very good graphic designer. His artistic capabilities are very good, and then there is a third one who has got some other skill like public speaking, and he is a kind of motivation speaker, but he's not strong technically or in terms of graphic designing and things like this. So it is usually difficult. One wants the other group members to be as good as he is in one particular area. So we need to acknowledge each other's capabilities, and somehow this requires, maybe it is a good idea to have a workshop on teamwork in future.
Yes, and also as you mentioned, like it is also like acknowledging the individual differences, but also taking different responsibilities. If the lecturer doesn't require that everyone should work on everything, but they should contribute on some things, then it should be fine. Like if one person makes a PowerPoint, then it is okay, but they should agree on what content they are putting in. So the effort from different team members at a certain time period is really required. But for certain skills, like maybe someone has better aesthetic skills or graphic, but also respecting who wants to do certain things, because sometimes people are more interested in doing certain tasks than others as well. But as I said, accountability of some sort could also help taking from pushing people to take responsibility in a different manner.
Yes, I'm not sure if Dr. Imran Ahmed is still around. Now, going back to the question which was asked a little time ago, will there be any future activity as well in this area, or is this all? So, from our side, we would be looking forward to welcome you again, no doubt about that. If you have time and you can manage another seminar, webinar, and give us some time, we would be more than happy about it. But it's a good idea to build on something that we have started.
Inshallah, why not? Is it possible to use Zoom instead of Google, or I can try to see?
We don't have a Zoom subscription. Actually, when the total time reaches of the meeting reaches 40 minutes, then the
Okay,
meeting
yes, I see.
discontinues. So that is the problem that we have. Somehow, maybe you can host the Zoom meeting and we just join in. Maybe we can sort out
Yeah,
something and
yes,
have
that
a
is
solution
possible
for
as
that.
well.
Yes.
Or I will try to build my sorry, what is it called? Google Meet skills the next time, because this was my first time using it.
Dr. Sadhana, I just want to like to thank Ma'am Alia for having such a fruitful seminar, and I think it's great to have someone who has international exposure to have in the career development team as well, because we might be taking advices from her because she does have international exposure. And for everyone, I think who would like to hear from her, she also has shared her Twitter account, and you can just follow her over there if you would like to hear her from us. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for having this here.
Thank you, Dr. Ran. Yes, and if anybody would like to connect through Twitter or LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, you can send it to me via email. And Dr. Safdar has my PowerPoint. If you want to share it with your students, please, you can do that as well. But maybe in a PDF format.
Yes, that's for sure. Actually, okay, someone is saying that he is already connected through ResearchGate, which is also a good platform to get connected to researchers of different fields. The live streams also, in the comments section, people have asked questions, but I'm not going to ask these questions now. I'm going to compile them and then send you to your maybe to your email address, and then when you have time, you can maybe answer those questions. And the reply of those comments, then I will paste your answers.
Okay, so it's in the Facebook or another stream.
YouTube, yes.
Okay, YouTube. Okay, fine, that's fine. And yeah, and I would be happy to hear if you use these skills and think about them, maybe write down your reflections in whichever language so that you don't forget, and apply them and volunteer and do different kinds of activities. Sports also helps many of these skills. I think somebody said teamwork, so doing sports and developing patience, controlling anger, for instance, if somebody has that issue, would help some different kinds of interpersonal and problem solving skills as well. And getting engaged in different activities with older people, people your age or younger people, because that will also give you a different kind of exposure, which is essential life experience, which you bring to your professional life as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, if there are no more questions, then I think that's it for today. And hopefully we will have another fruitful session in near future in which we can, I'm not sure what are we going to plan and how, but most probably something about teamwork and the skills that we discussed today would be a part of that seminar or that workshop as well. Finally, thank you, madam. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. And I hope that it was a good experience for you as well, just like we had a very nice and informative session with you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.